So Krishna in the previous verse, he told the importance of honoring food which is offered in sacrifice. Yagnasishta asinaha santaha muchyante sarva kilbishaihi, which will protect us from all sinful reactions. Now he says what kind of food that should be offered in sacrifice and should be eaten. He says, Annat bhavanti bhutani. Bhutani, the living entities, they subsist on anna. Anna means the grains. Krishna is not saying mamsad bhavanti bhutani, not mamsahara, annahara. So annat bhavanti bhutani. And where does this anna come from? The grains. Parjanyat anna sambhavaha. Parjanya means rains. When there is sufficient rain, the grains manifest from the ground. So it's not just plowing and sowing the seeds. You also need the intervention of nature, the blessing of nature, which in turn comes from God. So Parjanyad Anna Sambhavaha. And how does rain come from? Does it come automatically? No. The scientific principle behind rain is Yagnad Bhavati Parjanyo. By Yagna, rain comes. So people may wonder, oh, how can you do something here and rain comes automatically? So we'll get into that. Yagnaha karma samudbhavaha. And where is yagna prescribed? It is prescribed as part of our prescribed duties, our karmas. Karma samudbhavaha. That means everybody is supposed to perform according to their prescribed duty. There is yagna prescribed. Everybody in this human species is supposed to perform yagna as part of their daily living. And as we discussed, the only yagna that is prescribed, recommended, and can be followed easily in this age is Sankirtana Yagna, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Yagnaihi Sankirtana Prayair Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So when we chant congregationally and individually the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that is considered as bona fide yagna for this age. And that yagna, Yagnat Bhavati Parjanyo, it causes rainfall. Otherwise, if you see in this world, there is so much of papa happening, as we discussed yesterday. 70 billion chickens are killed every single year, and it's growing. And not to speak of other species like the crabs and the seafood and cows and so many other animals, they are killed. And so many other sinful activities are happening in this world. And in spite of sinful activity, why the nature is still supplying? Because there was instance in the history when the nature withdrew her supply. During Prithu Maharaj's time, his father was an atheist, Vena. He stopped all kinds of yagna. And nature withheld. And people were in drought. So the priests, because this Vena was becoming atheistic and unruly, uncontrollable, he defied the authority of God. So they had to kill him. So the Brahmanas had the power to kill if the Kshatriya does not properly follow the principles. And then they made the son, Prithu Maharaj, as the king. And Prithu Maharaj time, it was severe drought. because of Vena's rule, Earth was not providing enough. And then Prithu Maharaj went with his sword to Mother Earth personified to attack her. Why you are not providing enough for my population? And then she said, I can provide enough provided people live a dharmic life. People live a life of Krishna consciousness. The real dharma is Krishna consciousness. Dharmasya glani, whenever dharma glani happens, all kinds of difficulties will happen. So the earth has everything in supply. There is the myth of overpopulation. Earth can supply everything that we need. In fact, this material world is created, according to scriptures, completely equipped to provide whoever takes birth in this land. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. This material manifestation, which is emanating from Krishna, who is Purnam, this material manifestation is also Purnam. Om Purnam Adaha Purnamidam. From that Purnam, this material manifestation came, which is also Purnam, which is completely equipped to provide what we want. But when we don't do things in a particular way, earth will withhold. Otherwise, earth is Sarva Kama Dugha Mahi. It can provide everything that we need, as was evidenced during Krishna's time. Queen Kunti says, because, O Lord, because your feet is walking on our land, because of your glance, there is suvruddhi everywhere. Ime janapadaha svruddhaha supakshvaushadhi virudaha vanadri nadi udanvanto hyedante tavavikshitaihi. Because of your glance, everything is in abundance. The crops, the minerals, the water. But when there is no Krishna consciousness, earth will withhold. So people, they don't understand. Just like a child, people say, oh, what is the relation between yagna and the rain? It's just like the child saying, oh dad, don't pay your taxes, don't pay your water bill to the water board. You're wasting your money by going to some remote place, paying your hard-earned money. You see, come to the bathroom, you turn the tap, see water is coming. See how foolish the child is. He denies that you don't need to pay anything to the water board. Unless you pay to the water board will cut off this central connection to your house. Then you won't get any water. But the child doesn't understand the overarching principle. Or just like an insect, there is an insect which lives only for the duration of one night. And the whole life of the insect, from the birth to growing up to getting married to producing children and dying, it all happens within one night. And if you go and tell the insect, oh, do you know sunlight? And the insect will deny, no, there is no sun. I don't believe in sun. Just because the insect denies the existence of sun, does it mean the sun doesn't exist? Just because the child doesn't understand the water board, the provider of water, does it mean the water board doesn't exist? So likewise, when people deny the existence of God and God's control and how the devatas are in charge of producing rain and air and sunlight according to the order of the Supreme, Madbhayat vati vatoyam suryastapati madbhayat varshate devo bhagano bhati madbhayat. Krishna says, Because of my order and fear, these devatas are producing water, rain, sunlight, wind, everything. So the scriptures say, so we should accept, we should not fall for the atheistic propaganda. We should accept what scriptures say. The atheists may say, oh, you don't have to do anything, see how rain is coming naturally. But they cannot provide any solution when there is nature's fury in terms of thunderstorms, floods, earthquakes. What is your atheism doing? How can you prevent these disasters? Because of your exploitation, you're causing these natural disasters by your sinful activities. How are you preventing that? As much as you may say you don't believe in God and you want to exploit nature. But by being Krishna conscious, everything becomes regulated. The proof is there in history. They may ask, what is your proof? If you become a devotee and perform yajna, will there not be natural disasters? Yes, the proof is there in our scriptures. If you see in our history, during Yudhishthira's time, during Ramachandra's time, everything was in proper cyclic behavior. Nature was acting perfectly. There were proper seasons, proper rain, proper growth of food grains. People were freed of diseases. And it was said that there was no death for those who didn't want it during Ramachandra's time. And if a, a son, a child dies before the father, so naturally in the old age one has to die. But if by mistake the child has died or a son has died before the father, it was considered an anomaly. And they would come and question the king. You are doing something wrong because of which this irregularity is happening. That means everything was working perfectly. People were happy. This is the proof that if you remain Krishna conscious, if you perform Sankirtana Yagna, then everything will be in order. In fact, this whole world, in spite of being sinful, it is running properly purely because of Sankirtana Yagna happening currently by the devotees all over the world, the Krishna Consciousness movement. Prabhupada said once, mankind will one day note that how Krishna Consciousness saved this world, how our movement saved this world. Purely because of the Yagna, Sankirtana Yagna we are performing, the whole surrounding becomes blessed with all the natural amenities. Like the other day we were discussing how, because of the devotion of these two personalities, Bahulashva and Shrutadeva in Mithila kingdom, they attracted the mercy of the Lord, and Krishna, along with all the pure devotees, the great sages, they all came to their houses. And when they come, the whole village in is properly maintained, isn't it? When a king comes to somebody's house, the king's assistants and ministers make sure the whole place is developed, isn't it? When a foreign minister from the state or the prime minister from the other country visits, I remember when I once went to India, Hyderabad, I saw that everything was nicely painted and decorated. And why? And I found out that this the foreign minister from US, the Trump's daughter, she was visiting Hyderabad, and everything was nicely decorated, cleaned, and welcoming and everything. Improvements. So likewise, when Krishna comes to the house of the devotee, the whole town becomes developed. There is no wantage. So because of the devotee Sankirtana Yagna, this world is running at least to some sane extent. And it's the duty of all of us to perform Sankirtana Yagna, to do chanting at our homes, as well as support the temple, support our movement which is performing Sankirtana Yagna. This is the only way of peace and prosperity for the entire world. So, Yagnat bhavati parjanyo, parjanyat anasambhavaha. And by causing the rain, we are causing the grains, growth of the grains. And as I said, that grains, annat bhavanti bhutani, the living entities subsist on food grains, not mamsa. Krishna would have said, mamsat bhavanti bhutani, but he didn't say that. People may say, your food, vegetarian food, does not have enough proteins for building a strong body. But they don't understand that bodily strength does not necessarily mean happiness. Isn't it? If you are strong means you are happy. Krishna categorizes foods in 3 modes in Bhagavad Gita later on in 17th chapter. Food in mode of goodness is preferred because anything you do in mode of goodness, it produces happiness. Good means happy, long duration of life, peaceful living, no anxieties, full of knowledge. Goodness means knowledge and happiness. Passion means temporary happiness and eventually leads to distress. Oh, you like to eat something very tasty, which is full of more salt, and it gives you spice and excitement to your senses. And that's how all this processed food is manufactured. It titillates your senses, your tongue, so you keep wanting more and more. Or you eat food with excess salt or heat, or that which is a feast to your senses. It may be for the time being, but it spoils your digestive system, and it eventually causes in the long run disease by upsetting the balance of kapha, pitta, vayu in the body. And food in mode of ignorance is distress from the beginning and distress in the end. Uchishtam api chamedhyam. So Krishna categorizes these 3 foods and suggests food in mode of goodness is preferred. Ayuhu sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasyaha snigdhaha sthira hridya ahara satvika priyaha. That food which is wholesome, which is fatty. Fatty means not any fat, any nonsense oil. Typically the cow products, that is considered good fat. The ghee. Of course, now it's the whole situation is stopped. We cannot even have proper quantities of food because of our lifestyle. But whatever quantity we have, we should have from these categories, which is wholesome, juicy, made with good fat, vegetarian food, vegetables. Prabhupada in one letter, he suggests, because one devotee, even though he was eating good food, his health was becoming upset. So Prabhupada suggested a very interesting letter he wrote. My dear such and such, please accept my blessings. My first concern is that you are not eating well. It is a case of anxiety. Please don't eat dal and spices. Simply boiled vegetables, rice, and a few chapatis. Take butter separately and eat only as much as you may require for taste. Drink milk twice, morning and evening. Don't eat at night. Eat some fruits in the evening. Use some digestive pill after eating each principal meal. Soda mint tablets will help. Be careful about your health first. This information is not only for you but all my noble sons. I am an old man, I may live or die, it does not matter, but you must live for a long time to push on this Krishna consciousness movement. See how Prabhupada was so concerned about the health of his disciples. The health is also important. Taking care of our body is important. Eating right food in mode of goodness is important. But the situation currently is so bad that we cannot, all these food in mode of goodness also may not be good for us. So we have to find out what is working. Unfortunate reality of this age. But we cannot go to mode of passion and ignorance. Food in mode of passion is Katvamla Lavana Tyushna Tikshna Ruksha Vidahinaha Ahara Rajaseshta Dukkha Shoka Maya Pradaha. It gives dukkha and shoka. So what is that food? Which is too salty, too pungent, too sour, too hot and spicy. That is the kind of food in mode of passion. And mode of ignorance, Yatayamam Gatarasam Puti Paryushitam Chayat Uchishtam Api Chamedhyam. Meat, Uchishtam, that cannot be, that is decomposed, dead animal, dead meat, those kind of things. Or food which is cooked after a very long time. Of course, prasadam does not get contaminated. But any food which is not offered to the Lord, Prabhupada says after 3 hours it becomes unfit for eating. But if you offer it as prasadam, it stays for a very, very long time. Of course, it's transcendental. Anything offered to the Lord is transcendental. So people who refrigerate and eat for days and days, if they are not offering, they are eating food in the mode of ignorance. It is distress from the beginning to the end. So one has to understand that we have to, as a human beings, we have to consume food in mode of goodness and food offered to the Lord. Actually, human being is designed to eat only food in mode of goodness, which is vegetarian food. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Because these modern science, they try to uh, cut the food into proteins and carbohydrates. They say, oh, it doesn't matter you are eating meat or you're eating vegetarian. It all boils down to vitamins, minerals, and proteins, carbohydrates, and all of that. But actually, you see the nature, our teeth, and you compare the teeth of a wild animal. The wild animal's teeth are made in such a way that it can cut the flesh and it can chew that flesh, and even if it, without chewing it, puts it inside the stomach. The stomach system is designed, they have a small intestine. We have a long intestine. If the meat goes there, which is very difficult to digest, and it has to pass through the long intestine for a very long time, there is danger for so much time to get contaminated while it is passing through the long intestine. And that's why all kinds of deadly diseases happen because of consumption of that food. So our system is designed, the human being system is designed, either the teeth or our tongue or our digestive system is designed to take only vegetarian food. There is a fire in the belly called Jataragni. Krishna says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha. Otherwise, how is food becoming digested? If there is no fire in the stomach, according to Ayurveda, there is fire. Without fire, how is food becoming digested? But then, see the Lord's creation. You take grass. Grass has vitamins. But a human being cannot consume grass. But the same grass, when the cow takes it, The Vaishvanara fire in the stomach, the heat produced by the which combines with the grass particles that the cow eats, produces vitamins, which is helpful and which eventually manufactures milk. Whereas the Vaishvanara fire in our body, when the grass is consumed, it cannot produce the same thing, because the different kinds of fire meant for different kinds of bodies. You cannot eat anything and everything. Animals don't violate the law of nature. The cow does not violate the law of nature. Cow eats only grass and vegetarian food. But we human beings, because of our advanced intelligence, we misuse our intelligence and we misuse and abuse our senses. What is meant for us is prescribed in the scriptures, we disregard, unfortunately. Of course, people who are ignorant, they disregard, but who are, even after being told, if you disregard, that is, nobody can help. So we have to eat how we are designed. That is anna. And practically, Prabhupada mentions the economic principle. If you can live based on anna, simple crop, instead of relying on industries, rubber, tools, and machines, that may give you money, but it does not give you health, it does not give you happiness. Krishna is giving the formula for happiness, formula for not only happiness, formula for economy also. You have nice land, you have cows, you produce food, you be happy. In fact, that's the design of the Indian system, where you produce for 6 months or even less than 6 months, and practically the rest of the year you have enough grains and you can utilize the time for Krishna consciousness. That's the design of the Lord. But the whole situation in this age is topsy-turvy. We are having to work hard throughout the year, having to live in distant lands, away from families, away from the land and cows. Of course, we cannot go back entirely because everything is topsy-turvy. But at least we can offer food. We can start following vegetarian diet and offer food to the Lord and accept food in mode of goodness and chant the holy names. At least that will bring sanity, health, and happiness to this world. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.